So the Rocky Mountain Institute, RMI, has released a study where they interviewed 24 utilities, hardware providers, software providers, and operators of charging networks and others. And this is what they found. We strongly suspect that soft costs are a big part of the reasons why charger installation costs in the US are 3 to 5 times the cost of the charger itself, a much higher ratio than that seen in Europe. Indeed, soft costs were frequently cited as more significant cost drivers than charging station hardware in the US. Soft costs were also identified as some of the most problematic and unpredictable costs that developers of charging networks encounter, and they are often the reason why a candidate site for a charging station is rejected or abandoned, even after significant expenses have been incurred in its development. Worse, when a site under development must be abandoned, the normal expenses incurred for activities like securing a site lease, designing an installation, and building it can be compounded by additional costs such as late fees and penalties.
So what are these soft costs?
Soft costs are the prolonged delays for permitting and easements. So basically, you want to build something, now you have to go through a whole design process and permitting with the town or a city, and then you have to get easements onto the property. Like, we're going to have to dig this line across your lot, so I'm going to have to get an easement on your property and file that with the town. And all those things take time, and those are soft costs because meanwhile, you're just keeping your construction crews waiting, and people are having to just sit there and charging you fees for waiting.
And so these soft costs apply to everyone who's trying to install a charger, whether it's a residential, just a homeowner, or if it's a business owner just trying to put in some level 2 charging outside of their business, all the way up to large, charging providers.
Yeah, and usually the bigger the project, the more expensive it gets. If you look at this chart here, you can see that it's fairly inexpensive to put in level 2 charging, and then the price just keeps going up. But some good news here, look at this chart of home charger costs. The cost of a 7.7 kilowatt level 2 charger has dropped on average from $1,200 in 2010 to less than $400 in 2019.
Wow.
And the takeaway from this study, I think, is that power utilities are slowing this down and causing costs to remain way higher than they should. That's the first takeaway. So power utilities, you're mainly the problem. Secondly, RMI recommends establishing state or national standards for permitting. So if we had a standard process, then we wouldn't have to go through figuring it out from scratch every time. Right. And then lastly, increasing the number of chargers per installation and installing chargers during the construction process. So when you're building that new parking lot, put in the infrastructure for charging.
Exactly, because that's the hardest thing. And you have this concrete structure, you have this, it's like, how do we get this over there?
Right.
And so you either are running conduit, which looks ugly, people don't want it. It's even more expensive on the outside of the building, or you're gonna have to find some other solution where you're digging underground or you're drilling through things. It's a tough job. And so if we just focus on new construction and we just say you need to have charging, it's going to make this switch to EVs a lot quicker and a lot easier.
Thank you so much for watching. We're all about making the world better here on Now You Know. Everything EV, solar, batteries, technology, Tesla, and more. If that's something you're interested in too, check out our Now You Know channel content like Tesla Time News every Monday and In-Depth every Friday. Now you know.